Welcome to Hispanic Biz Success Stories. I'm Homero Galicia. We interview successful business owners to learn from them their story. Every business has a story, triumphs, challenges, but great victories. We're fortunate to have with us today a wonderful couple, Mr. Fernando Jaime Rodriguez and his wife Barbara Rodriguez, who run a business called Night Eyes Protective Services, Inc. Ms. Rodriguez is the president and Barbara is the vice president. Thank you so much for being with us. Really appreciate you taking time.
Thank you for having us.
Well, excited to learn about your story. So what is Night Eyes Protective Services, Mr. Rodriguez?
Night Eyes Protective Services is a security company, security guard company, and we provide services to governmental agencies, to the local community, and to the commercial sector as well. And we protect property. We're also diverse in the investigation portion of it. We also do armored courier, and we do personal protection as well. So that's about what sums Night Eyes Protective Services, Inc.
How long have you been in business?
We're going on 19 years, approximately.
How big is Night Eyes?
Night Eyes is about 150 to 300 employees.
Depending on the contracts you have.
Contracts we have, exactly.
And what role do you play with the business?
I have many roles. I'm the janitor. I'm the CEO. I look after human resource. I look over operations. So I wear many hats. The responsibility, making sure that the money's coming into the company, making sure it's generated, and making sure that there's enough money to pay the employees.
Wow. And Barbara, what role do you play with the business?
I play the role of the CFO. I deal with a lot of the financials, with the contracts, the renewals of the contracts, with a portion of the human resources.
And how long you been with the business?
Since 2005.
And you guys have been married how long?
Approximately 22 years.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And you have children?
Yes, sir. Two.
Yes.
Two. How old are they?
One's 15 and the other one's going to be 18.
Boy and girl?
Yes, sir.
That's exciting. And you raise a family and run a business together.
It's rather hard, like I said, you wear many hats, and you have to dedicate a portion of it to your business, which is almost 100%, and take care of your kids as well. Make sure that they're being educated, make sure that they're being serviced, in other words, and making sure they're taken care of.
Wow. That's a lot of work. So let me have a little bit about your background. Mr. Rodriguez, where did you grow up?
I grew up in the Hidden Valley area. At the time, my father was a police officer here in El Paso. And of course, my mother and father are graduates from Bowie High School. I attended Hidden Valley Elementary. And then soon after, we moved to Coronado, where I graduated from Coronado High School in '83. And
what was your father like?
My father was my role model at the time. He was a police officer, so I looked up to him, and I wanted to be a police officer. So that's what I geared to do, So I got into the field. I went to the academy, and then from there I went into the detention field in New Mexico, and from there, we opened up Night Eyes Protective Services, Inc.
Wow.
And got into the business.
You have brothers and sisters?
Yes, sir. Two. I have a brother and a sister. My sister's older and my brother's younger.
And I know your sister does the Angie, right?
Yes, sir.
She does the magazine.
Yes, she owns the journal, the business journal.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And your family, what was your family like?
I'm the youngest of 5 siblings. My dad worked for Fort Bliss, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom until I was in the 5th grade. Then she started working as a teacher's aide.
Wow. What neighborhood did you grow up in?
The Clardy Fox area, and I graduated from Jefferson High School.
Okay. But you guys didn't meet until after?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
What did you do after high school, Ms. Rodriguez?
After high school, I worked at a Der Wiener Schnitzel, actually. And, I come from a single-parent family, my mother she was the one that brought us up. My parents are divorced, so we had to work. So I started working at an early age. I worked in high school as a junior, and I worked at the Wiener Schnitzel. I worked at a fish restaurant. So had to help out my mother. Bring in money, to the household. But I've always worked, and that's the way it's always been.
So what was your mother like?
My mother was a very strict woman. We were scared of her, and very good upbringing by her. She, even though with the struggles, she didn't make it seem like that. She's just very strong. I know growing up, she tried to attend all our functions, and of course I was an athlete in school, so she tried to attend as much as she could, but she had to work. She was a single parent, so I had my grandparents as well, Angela Nunez and Jose Nunez, that would help out as well. And, thank God to my grandparents also that helped us out as well. But my mother was the breadwinner, and, we learned a lot from her. She's just a very strong lady with good morals and values, and that's what we were brought up with.
Do you still have your mother?
Yes, sir. I do.
That's fortunate. Very
Yes.
Wow.
And
And your family, what'd you learn? What'd you learn from your mom, and what'd you learn from your dad?
My parents had a big emphasis on us getting an education, and since there was 5 of us, my dad made sure that all of us went to college and got a
Really?
degree.
Wow.
And he did everything that he could to provide for us, even if it meant him working 2 or 3 jobs.
Wow.
They're very good role models to us. Their morals and their ethics were outstanding, and they're.
So you went on to UTEP?
Yes, I did. Mhm.
And what field of study?
I graduated with a business degree with a major in human resources.
Okay.
Hmm.
I'll ask you about that. Did you get to go to Texas Western?
yes, sir. I went to UTEP. I had to pay for my school. My mother helped me a little bit, and I was a major in criminal justice and
Okay.
a minor in sociology. So yes, it was hard, but working and going to school at the time. But that was the thing to do. I had to provide and help out my mother at home, and
So how long did it take you to finish college?
It took us a while. Yeah, it took us a long while, but I didn't see it as a long-term kind of thing. I just went with it, and because we were always working, and her being a single parent, and of course my sister as well, was also working as well at a young age, and bringing in money to the household. So we all, helped out the household. So.
And your brother?
My brother Ernie Rodriguez, he was the young one, and he also worked as well. So he also helped out the family as well. So.
And he started a business too?
Yes, sir. It's called Transamerica
Okay.
Armor Courier.
So how did Night Eyes come to be?
Night Eyes came to be. He actually had started Night Eyes Protective Services, and of course he branched out. In 2005, I took over Night Eyes, and he branched out with his own company, and opened Transamerica, and we stayed with Night Eyes Protective Services Inc. And of course, Night Eyes is what it is now. I've worked very hard to where we're at this level right now.
Let me ask you both. Did college help prepare you to build and grow a business?
Education is very important. We emphasize that on our kids, and we want them to, continue their education and finish their college degrees. It's very important because it doesn't prepare you, but you experience a lot of things that come up that help you adjust, that you've learned in school. And it's just really, really hard to try to explain to everybody, what that means. But the education is really important, and we really push the education because it's taught me to research. It's taught me to go into different fields that I didn't know about, like human resource and the laws of human resource, the laws of paying taxes and so forth and so on. So that doesn't prepare you, but you adjust and you incorporate everything together.
So you got a degree, Barbara, in business,
Yes.
in human resources. Did that prepare you for what you find in business?
It did somewhat, but as you own a business and as you go through different situations in a business, it's not all learned through the textbook. It's learned by hands-on in the business, and you learn through the experience as you're going and dealing with different situations. As far as the laws go, as far as compliance goes, the different aspects of the elements of having a business and running a business. It's not all taught through lectures or textbook.
So you learn on the job.
Yes.
How many years after you finished college did you start the business, or?
I would say maybe 8 years, maybe afterwards. That I was involved, incorporated, and doing both, and continued my education in different areas. But you never stop learning. As far as going to school, you're always attending some sort of training. I know when we were involved with the SBA, with the 8A program, they allow you to train in different programs like the COC here at community college, and it teaches you. They give you all the tools that you need to succeed. And as far as networking programs, financials, how to run a business, I mean, there's just different classes that you're able to take within that program that we were in, and that's how we became successful. Of course, you can't grow too big, and you have to watch the financial situation itself. And people think that it's all the money that's coming in that's generated, it's for you, and it's not. It's part of the business, and you have to pay employees on a biweekly basis. So that's a responsibility in itself. You have to, the stress of trying to make sure that the money comes in from clients and that they're paying on time, and because different clients pay at different times. Some pay on a monthly basis. If you're able to get somebody to pay on a weekly or bi-weekly, and it's generating the revenue to pay your employees, but it's rather hard, to do that. But we've succeeded in doing that. So
it's a large organization, between 150, 300 employees.
Yes.
Well, what kind of impact, Barbara, what kind of impact does it have on the family?
Sometimes you can't help but take your work home, because since we're in an industry that's 24/7, you just can't, close up shop at 5 and forget about it. If something arises and a client needs to be serviced, or there's a situation that we need to deal with, we have to deal with it right then and there. We're not going to just say, oh, we're going to leave it till 9 o'clock in the morning when we get to the office again. So if we have plans or whatever, we have to stop our plans and deal with the client, because they need to be serviced.
So does it affect the relationship to be working together and raising a family together?
I don't think it affects our relationship at all. We learn from each other, and we get from each other's ideas, and that's how I think our company has grown, is we complement each other.
So if there's a lot of stress, how does that affect you as a couple?
You just have to, work with it. I work out. I was an athlete growing up, and I've taken out my frustration, working out. But Barbie's more sensible, I think, to complement me, because I'm a little bit more forward and strict about things on the field, and she's taking care of the books and so forth, and the financials that are coming, the financial money that's coming in and all that, and she directs where all that's going to. And we focus on trying to do what needs to be done. Paying the taxes, paying the employees, that's the number one priority that needs to be done. And I think it's been a learning concept for my kids because it's been part of our lives, and they see what we go through, and we want them to learn from that as well, and we want them to succeed in their education and finish their school, so they don't have to depend on what we do. It's good to have a business, but it's very hard to maintain it, and we've been able to do that, and it's a big responsibility, and it's a continuing thing that you do on the field. People ask me, "Hey, Fernie, you're still doing?" Yeah, I'm still. That's just the way I am. I'm an on-hands person on the field, and I'll do that till I die.
So this is something you had in the back of your mind as a kid. Did you have an idea of having a business, or?
No, you never know what you're going to do. Like I said, when I grew up, I thought I was going to be a police officer, and I wasn't. And my brother opened up the company, and I joined him, and of course it went off from there. But I think the responsibility that I had, that God gave me to respond to certain things in a responsible way, that's the way I've always been. And I've always serviced my clients on a personable basis, and I've been on the field myself as well, and many hours and many sacrifices. And I don't know if a lot of people are going to sacrifice that much in their lives to have something for their family.
What do you mean when you talk about sacrifice?
Sacrifice is when you sacrifice, you're working on the field many hours. Blood, sweat, and tears is what it's called. And you're not able to go to functions. You're not able to go to birthday parties, or I'm always working, So I'd rather that my family, my wife, and my kids go to them versus me, taking care of the business and making sure that it's running properly, because that's what has to be done. It's a 24-hour service, so you have to monitor the guards on the field, and it's a continuing thing that you have to do, And
so you don't put it to rest?
No, you can't. It's always been like that. And I've done it for so many years that it's just been part of my life. And people ask me, "You're not supposed to be out there." I do have to be out there because it's part of my life, and I don't think they understand what incorporates in a company, and trying to make sure that they're being serviced and making sure that we don't lose a contract, because if you lose a contract, you lose revenue that's coming in, that's probably generating for us to pay the employees and so forth and so on. So it has to be done.
Yeah. And Barbara, meanwhile, you manage the home.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And if there's a crisis, you take care of the home, and Fernando goes out and takes care of the crisis.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so what value, Fernando, does it have? Is it to have your wife there managing the finances?
It's fantastic because you get to trust somebody that you love, not only that you love, but somebody that knows what they're doing. And like I said, she's really strict about the financial part of it, and what needs to be paid and so forth. Where if I need to pay something, or she says, "You know what, we can't do this, we need to wait and generate more business, or we need to go out and market more," and so forth and so on. But it's fantastic to know that somebody that you trust is there taking care of you, versus somebody that you hire and you find out that they're embezzling money from you or stealing from you. So there's a lot of stories about that, but I take pride in my wife dealing with what she deals with.
So in dealing with the finances, Mrs. Rodriguez, what do you have rules you follow? Your own rules?
I'm very organized because you have to be organized. You have to be conscientious of what's due and what's due when, and make sure that the clients are paying on time to be able to meet your obligations and responsibilities as a business. Of course, the agencies and the government and state agencies that you do have to pay at a certain time every month. they need to be paid or you won't be in business. So it's a big responsibility. You need to be organized and know your deadlines to be able to meet your responsibilities.
So you
with them.
manage your receivables as well as the
Yes.
payables.
Yes, I do.
And do you have people that are very slow in paying and cause you problems?
We have a few, but it's not to the point that they pay so slow that it causes problems for us.
So you keep them in tow.
Yes, I do.
That's
I keep track of them.
and so you started in 2000.
Yes, sir.
But you took over in 2005.
Yes, sir.
And so when you started operating on your own, were you stable at that point?
I don't think I ever thought about being stable. I think the pace was moving so fast, because when you're dealing with governmental contracts, the pace is rather fast. So you're not thinking about that. There's so much work, and in the government, you have to do backgrounds and clear personnel. So you're involved in everything that's going on with governmental contracts. So it doesn't allow you to think or to step back and say, hey, are we doing okay? Are we not? We're generating is what we're doing. We're out there marketing, we're generating governmental contract, and we're pushing to make sure that the employees are getting paid. That's the number one thing that we're doing. So, that's what we're doing.
So when did you start doing government contracting?
We started doing it approximately in 2003.
Oh, before you took over
Yes, sir.
the business,
Right.
you are doing a.
Yes,
so Nine Eyes used the SBA program 8A. When did you become 8A?
I think we became 8A, I think in latter 2003.
Okay.
I don't remember.
So when you took over, you were already 8A.
Yes, sir.
And you maintained that designation.
Yes, sir.
You did.
Right.
Yeah, 8A is the SBA program that allows you to stay within a
Right.
9-year time frame to
Right.
teach you to get government contracts.
Yes, sir.
But it's where the government has a special designation to give contracts to primarily minority businesses under the 8A
Right.
designation. And so, but a lot of times people don't take full advantage of that for many years. You were able to get contracts right away under the 8A program.
I went out and solicited, not knowing what the program meant, and they call me. The contracts would call me, and I would take brochures and let them know what services we provided, and they call me, and then we started. We started on a purchase order, and then we took off from there.
What was your first government contract?
La Tuna.
And what was that? What did that involve?
It involves prisoners that are being taken out to the different hospitals here in town with whatever sickness they have or illnesses that they have, and we take custody of those inmates at the different hospitals, and it generated a lot of revenue at the time. So.
Good population to work with.
Yes.
How long did you have that contract?
I had it for about approximately 13 years, I believe.
Wow, okay, so even to the end of your
Yes,
8A
of my
status.
certification. Yes, sir.
And so what did you learn in 8A?
Like I said before, at A, they have a lot of programs that they introduce to you, how to run a business. They have programs to network with different companies out in the field, in the business sector. The accounting programs, just about everything that you can think of to run a business. And it's your responsibility to take advantage of that and to make sure that you're attending these classes and everything that they offer. Many companies don't take advantage of that. Like you said, you have to learn from it when a situation arises and adjust to it, and then go from there. Like Barbie was saying, you got to pay taxes and the controller and so forth and so on. So, there's a lot of responsibility, and a lot of the programs that the SBA offers is fantastic, and you have to take advantage of it.
So on the finance side now, government contracting requires a lot of pretty particular financing guidelines, right?
Yes.
So, do you have to have certain certifications to do government contracting?
You have to be like we were certified with the 8A certification to be able to get awarded a contract. As far as the accounting side of it, for one government contract that we did have, there was a certain program that we had to get trained in to be able to submit our invoices to be able to get paid.
Is it difficult to do government, do the accounting for government contracts?
No, it wasn't. Mm-mm.
It's just regular accounting?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so through the program, you were able, excuse me, you were able to take advantage of the 8A program. I've seen a lot of people get into it, but not take as much advantage. The idea is that the 8A gets you to a certain level higher than you would be without it.
Right.
That happened to you.
You know, I had a good what you call auditor representative from the SBA, Susie Aguirre, and Susie would audit you and she'd give you advice and to make sure that you're going on the right track, making sure that you had at least 30% of the commercial sector business. It's not all just governmental work that you're acquiring, because what happens to a lot of companies is that they acquire just federal contracting, and the money's flowing in and huge, but you neglect the commercial sector. Once you graduate from the 8A program, which is a 9-year program, well then the governmental work goes away. It's not there like it used to be. And so you have to depend on commercial work to sustain the company or be diversified like we are in different areas of our license. So you have to generate revenue from different areas to stay afloat. It's not that easy. So from the governmental contracts that have gotten, it wasn't that many. It was few to maintain to grow our company. You can't go out there and get huge amount of work if you don't have the money to sustain it or to provide money generated to pay employees at that type of level. So you have to be careful what you do with governmental work.
Because your nature of your business is labor intensive.
Yes, sir.
You charge for the employees that you have out there.
Right.
And you have different kinds of services that you do.
Right.
So what kinds of services with your personnel do you provide?
When my father was there, we also had the investigation. Did not bring in much work, so we went into the armored courier division part of it as well, and that was successful. And of course, we also have personal protection. That doesn't bring in that much work either as well. So you have to depend on the whole amount of diversified stuff that you're doing. The guard service is what we're leaning on, but you try to depend on other stuff to generate revenue for the company as well. And that's how it is. And you continue to do that through the tenure of the time that you're open in business. And like for me, it's not a 20-year thing for me. It's an ongoing thing.
Okay.
As far as retirement, and you have to continue, especially at the level that you're at.
Wow, you've really been involved with building a business, and your story is interesting and fascinating.
Right.
And there's more to it.
Yes.
And Fernando, you operate the field.
Yes, sir. The operations of it, definitely. I deal with the officers on the field and making sure that they're properly trained and making sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing whenever we have a contract.
And you're not only in El Paso, right?
We're in San Antonio as well.
And how many officers do you have?
We have, right now we have 3. We have in New Mexico, we have in San Antonio, of course, here in El Paso.
3 officers.
Yes, sir.
And employees?
Employees, we manage about 150 to 300.
How do you manage that?
Depending on the contracts. It's rather hard. I'm very personable and I'm on the field a lot of hours, so you have to maintain a certain strength to deal with the employees out on the field with their personalities and making sure that whatever their needs are is necessary for them to be trained out in the field.
And how do you do the training?
We bring them into the office,
Okay.
and we train them there at the office, depending on what contract we have. We had a contract with University Medical Center where we had emergency detentions where there was a lot of training involved. You have to train on the HIPAA laws and making sure how to deal with mentally ill patients or anybody that's brought in by the El Paso PD or the Sheriff's Department. And we're what you call a temporary detention officer, making sure that the patient doesn't leave the room and making sure that they're okay. And of course you have UMC security that's out there helping you as well. And that's just to name one of the contracts that we had.
So you have a mix of government contracts and
commercial.
commercial.
Yes, sir.
What is that mix? What percentage mix?
Commercial's 30%.
Okay.
When we were part of the 8A, of course, you had to manage 30% of commercial, and of course, whatever you got in the federal sector. But you know, we maintain a certain amount of federal contracts to balance the commercial sector as well. We were trying to get more commercial contracts than we did federal contracts because we knew that the timeline that we had as far as 9 years, that we had to be successful somehow or another by maintaining the revenue that we were used to keeping with the federal. So we try to get as much as we could out of the commercial sector and try to maintain that.
Because the 80 lasted 9 years and you came out of that.
Yes, sir.
Now you just got an award this year
Yes,
for from the SBA, correct?
8A Graduate of the Year. Yes,
8A
sir.
Graduate of the Year.
Yes, sir.
Because the 80 program is 9 years?
Yes, sir.
And when did you finish? When did you graduate?
I believe we finished in 2012.
Okay. And so let me ask you, why were you the 8A Graduate of the Year?
I think the 8A sees that if you're able to maintain a certain quality or a certain financial stability to maintain a company, then I think there are challenges that you go through in business, but to come out and be able to still be standing at the time that you graduate. Let me see, in 2012, we're in 2018, so you know we've already graduated, you know, several years after we graduated. So I think they look at that as being successful as you maintaining a certain, you know, quality of maintaining, you know, your business.
So you've been able to maintain some government contracts, and you still get government contracts.
Yes, sir, we do, here and there.
But they're not under the 8A program.
No, they're not.
They're just plain competitive in the open market.
Yes, sir, right.
Wow. Wow. And so let me ask you, Barbara, on the inside of the business, you know, with Fernando being out there in the field all the time, you know, what else do you manage besides the finances?
I deal with the contract part of it, making sure the contracts are signed, making sure they're renewed, making sure we abide by the contract itself. I also deal with human resources, making sure that we have enough employees coming in to be able to man the sites that we get, the new and the current ones that we have as well.
So you also manage compliance.
Yes, we do.
What kinds of things do you have to comply with or be certified in?
As far as compliance, we have to comply with the different laws, employment laws, labor laws, tax laws, state laws, making sure that you're in compliance as far as with your license as well, your security guard license. So.
And you have to deal with overtime?
Yes, we do. Mm-hmm.
And that becomes an issue if you don't manage that right.
Correct. Mm-hmm. That's why we need to make sure that we have enough employees, you know, so that we don't go over the allotted overtime.
So how many people in the office manage your business?
4. Right now we have 4 people.
Doing what functions?
We have people that deal with the licensing requirements and the files that deal with our license with DPS. And we have people that deal with training, excuse me, people that deal with certain parts of human resource.
So you built a business. When did you realize you were successful?
You know, I don't think you realize that you're successful. I think you've gone through so many, I don't know what you call it.
Hurdle.
Yeah, hurdles. and to try and adjust to that. And when the awards come in, and that's fantastic, and you're being acknowledged. But I don't think of it as that. I'm always thinking of working and making sure that the business is generating what we're supposed to, and paying our employees. That's the main thing for me. I don't see it as I still trying to gobble up, the award that we received, but and we're acknowledged, and that's great. But for me, just to maintain the responsibility to maintain the company, that's what's for me. Making sure my employees are okay, making sure that they're doing what they're supposed to. At the same time, to acknowledge my employees as well on the field, because they have, their own personal hurdles as well, and their personal lives, and I like to hear about them as well out there on the field, and I develop that relationship with them. They know that I'm strict, but at the same time, they know that I'm a fair person. Yeah, it's not just a micromanaging on the field. They know that when they call me, that I'm going to give them a sincere answer on whatever situation they're in, and I'm pretty upfront about it. I'm not going to be hiding the answer behind anything, so they understand that.
But human resources with a lot of employees is, well, one thing is human resources, which is keeping things in files in order, but the other is dealing with people.
Yes.
That's gotta. So, what in your life, as you were growing up, or what prepared you to do what you're doing now effectively?
My mother did. Like I said, she's just a strong lady. It was the upbringing by her. Just being real strict about just about everything, about the way we look, about how we acted, and that's just the way it was.
Do you remember dichos? Did your mother use dichos or sayings?
I don't know if we can say this on TV, but she used to call us names, and of course, a single woman at the time, kids take advantage of the woman versus the man. So she would say things to us, and just put a fire under us, and making sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing,
Yeah.
And they just they impregnate in your brain that that you can't do certain things, and that you better be on the straight path, and that you better be doing the right thing.
So you're talking about integrity.
Yes, sir.
Integrity, is that something that comes from outside, or is it something that comes from inside?
It's inside.
Because you can see it in your employees, right?
Yes.
Because you have to deal with that sometimes. Right?
Yes. You deal with different personalities. The generation nowadays, it's a very lazy generation, and we have to deal with that. We have to make sure that the sites are covered, and people don't want to work. We try our best to generate people coming into the office, and trying to get them out on the field, and we're pretty upfront of what we tell them, that what's encountered there. And a lot of times, we have employees that say, it's too boring. Well, it's not the fact that it's boring. That's good that nothing happens on a site that you're taking care of, or taking care of somebody's property. The fact that that you have to work, the responsibility that's there, of taking food and for your families, that's the important thing.
Well, what is the service you provide?
The security guard service is what we provide, and the unarmed and armed officers that are on the field, protecting property, or like I mentioned before, at UMC we're taking care of patients from leaving their rooms, and so forth and so on. With La Tuna, we took care of inmates that were coming out of La Tuna to the different hospitals, and making sure that they were handcuffed, making sure that the leg irons were on, making sure that the protocol was met, and requirements to the federal government, and so forth. So.
And with commercial customers, what kind of commercial customers do you have now?
The commercial customers that we have, it entails apartment complexes. It entails say, for instance, we're doing the Chihuahuas right now, Top Golf, That's another one that we do, and several other ones that we do.
So your officers are like a deterrent?
Yes, sir. They're a deterrent.
Okay. But at the same time, you're building a family. Did you grow up in your family with a lot of sayings and dichos that guided you?
There was one saying that my dad said that always has stuck with me, and I think it's true. He says, lazy people work double, which means that, if you're going to do a job, do it right the first time, because if not, you're going to have to go back and redo it.
So in raising your children, you have 2 children.
Yes.
And they're in school. What levels of school are they at?
My daughter's going to be a senior this year, and my son is sophomore.
Where at?
My son goes to Cathedral and my daughter to Loretto.
So how do you pass on values to your children?
I think our work ethics, they recognize that, and they show that in their school. They're high achievers, and they're very responsible, and they're organized.
Is that something they picked up just watching you, or?
I think so. They hear everything that we deal with and the responsibility that we have, that they pick up on our ethics.
So right now you built a business. You're a successful business. What's growth for the future?
We continue what we're doing, growth, and we diversify in other things. We're thinking of the janitorial business as well, and to try to, bring in more revenue other than the security business. So you start thinking about other things other than what you're doing to generate more revenue. Of course, like you said, to be more successful. And to me, it's always growing. You never can stay at a certain amount, because you lose contracts and you gain contracts. So it depends. You try to service the best that you can with your clients, but you do lose contracts. It's just part of the business. And of course, you have to be out there one step ahead, trying to get another contract, just to make sure that if anything falls off, then you're able to replace it. But that's just the way it is. Sometimes you don't have any control over that, and you have to continue to grow.
So let me ask you, why are you successful? I've seen a lot of businesses not be successful. What is the ingredient that makes you successful?
It's my drive. I'm not very easily. If there's a failure, I get back up. I fight. I'm not going to lay down. There's got to be a way to succeed or to get a contract. It's just a matter of going out there and looking for it. It's not, like he says, being lazy and just waiting there for something to come. You just can't do that.
Can you give me an example?
For a time, we stopped doing networking, and I stopped doing the basic things that we needed to do. And I thought of going back in, and we did. We went back into networking, and we had to market the company, regenerate the company, and making sure that we were marketing properly, making sure that people know who Night Eyes Protective Services, Inc., because not everybody knows who Night Eyes Protective Services, Inc. is. So the help through my sister Angie Rodriguez, she's involved a lot with the community as well. We've given back to the community as well. And it satisfies me to know that I have my sister that's helping us out there as well. She owns a publication, and of course, we're in one of their networking things that we do with them, with her. And you just got to get out there, and you have to hustle. That's just the bottom line.
And so, what impacts you most about the business as a mother and a wife?
You have to balance the two, but you also have to be an example. and nurture both sides of, you have to nurture your family and you have to nurture your business in order for them to grow.
So, put you on the spot. What is Fernando's chief quality?
His drive and his responsibility. He sets the tone for the employees in the office, and he's a hard worker, so everybody follows that.
So, same question, Fernando. What is Barbara's chief quality?
Same thing, you know. She has a drive in the office, and if I'm not there, she'll take responsibility for something to take off something off my shoulders, so I won't have to be worried about certain contracts or certain items that we deal with. So she takes a lot off my plate. She's a very strong woman, you know. I can't say anything bad about what Barbie does. I'm lucky to have Barbara. Yeah.
So in working a business as a couple, that can be a strength. It can also be a problem. In your case, you've maneuvered that to be a strength.
Yes, definitely. The strength she gives me, you go through failures in a business. You just really do. You go through ups and downs. But when you have a partner that's pretty strong and lifting your spirits and everything that goes with it, and she says that I'm a warrior because my mother's a warrior, and she says, wait till it happens and we'll adjust and deal with it at the time that it happens, because you're going to get old. As it is, my hair's just about white because I'm always worrying about everything. But it's the responsibility issue with me. I just want to make sure that everything's running correctly, like a fine-tuned machine, and that's just how I am. I've always been like that, And like you asked me earlier if I played sports, I played baseball at Coronado, and I was on varsity. So, being a team player with my employees is another thing that we do, And I've always had that, I've played on championship teams also with fast pitch, with all sports as well. And, I've acquired that intensity of winning and playing with the best. And you acquire those skills and you incorporate them in your business, and the weightlifting and the stress relievers and all that. So I have a lot of drive. So I try to implement that with my employees and making sure that we're all a team. I'm not just the owner, I'm out there with them as well, and making sure that, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Well, there's two things about your business, your local business, and
Right.
what benefit to commercial clients locally is it to have local ownership?
That I'm here, that I'm personable with them, and they're able to call me directly. It's not a 1-800 number. It's not, they're not going to contact a supervisor. It's going to be directly with me.
Isn't that one of your characteristics? You're
Yes.
close to your clients?
Yes.
How do you maintain that?
I service them. I'm out on the field. I want to make sure that whatever needs they have, that I'm able to be there for them. So, that's one of the good things that I have with my clients.
How do you maintain that relationship?
A constant communication with them. You're continually communicating with them, making sure that not only that the service that we're providing, but how they're doing. And as it's something that I've always done. Not only with marketing, and I'm pretty straightforward with my clients. It's not something that I hide. You go through things in business where there's hardships that you go through, and you learn from it, and you adjust to them, and you relay that to your clients as well, and they know that you're out there working hard for them. There's no backside something that they don't know about. I mean, I'm pretty sincere about what I do and tell them. So that's how I've been successful with my clients.
And you've had to deal with banks. Have you had to deal with banks?
Yes, sir.
Have they been helpful?
I'm going to let Barbara answer that question.
Helpful as far as?
Are they there when you need them?
The bank that we've been with since we started, yes. Mm-hmm.
They know your business.
Yes, they know our business. They know us personally. They greet us. Yes, they've been
But
there.
you know your numbers.
Yes, we do. Mm-hmm.
Do you know your numbers as well as the banker does?
Yes, better
Okay.
than the bankers.
Okay. Okay, you know your numbers. That's
Yes.
good.
Mhm.
Okay. And so that hadn't been an issue for you. When you need capital, you have access to it.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And from the beginning?
We've had to borrow from family members and
Mhm.
and build from there. You know, we've had to save and save you know, employees are first. This is one of my main things, making sure that your employees are getting paid, because you're feeding their families, and it's really important to me. It just is.
So let me ask you a question you've answered already. And in your business, who's number one?
In my business, who's number one? I would have to say my clients.
That's important.
They're the ones that are generating, they're the ones that are bringing in the revenue into the company. So they're number one. I would say me because my health is important, but really my clients, they've been devoted to me. They've been there for me. I've had a lot of clients that have been with me for such a long time, so I'm very grateful to them.
This is an interesting kind of business, though. You have to take care of people's property, and you have to deal with some pretty rough situations.
Yes.
What is the roughest situation you've had to deal with?
You know, the requirements under Department of Public Safety are very strict, and there's liabilities that occur on the field that you have to be really careful with. And probably, you know, sexual harassment is one of them. You know, we have zero tolerance for it. You have other liabilities where people get hurt on the field, or they get hurt at home and they tell you that they get hurt on the field, you know. So, you know, there's just many hurdles that you have to deal with, personal, you know, injuries and so forth with a company and stuff that, you know. You know,
So you have workers' comp issues.
yes, sir.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
People abuse that?
If you let them, they can.
How do you monitor that?
We make sure that they're trained properly, that they know what to do and what not to do, and that, of course, that comes from the training. We monitor them, and then we guide them.
We document. There's a lot of documentation
So you
involved.
document, you train, you monitor,
Yes.
you're out in the field observing.
Yes.
Yes.
That's intense.
Yes.
Same time you're building a family. So what is the legacy of your life?
You know, I want to make sure that my kids understand that I was a hard worker,
And why is that important?
because I want them to get the same skill. I want them to work hard for what they earn, you know.
So is that the secret?
I think so. You have to, you know, there's a lot of work involved, a lot of responsibility. And I want to make sure that they understand that. I want to make sure that an honest day's work is the best thing to do.
But you see that. You see that every day.
Yes, I do. Mm-hmm.
And you have
Yes.
the same values.
Yes, I do. And we see certain things that we do that our kids pick up on, and you know, hopefully we're good role models to them, and they will be just as successful as we are.
So what advice would you have for someone out there trying to grow a business?
Be ready for what's coming, because there's a lot of sacrifice involved in it, and there's a lot of hard work that's pertaining to it. And when there's, you know, when something fails, that not to give up. You need to fight. You have to fight. You just have to.
So you talk about not giving up and not, you know, and having to fight. What does that? How do you know? What does that mean?
It means, you know, the different situations that arise in a company. You know, when a client's not paying, where is that money going to come from? You know, when situations arise with human resources, where there's people not coming into the office to apply, and you're trying to generate to make sure that your company is servicing the clients, and there's just so many situations that occur in a company that we have to deal with. That for me, it's just such a wide range that you got to deal with, But that's what that means, that it's a constant fight on a daily basis. That you got to make sure that everything is running to the best to your ability.
The question I ask, right, is how do you learn how to run a business?
Yeah. We adjust it. You learn and adjust and move forward. You can't look at the negative. What we do, we try to do the best we can because it's necessary to pay, the taxes. Nobody likes to pay taxes, but it's part of a business. You have to do it. That's just the way it is,
So there's an underbelly of business that has to be addressed, and if you don't address that, it affects the business.
Yes.
So how do you address your profit? How do you define your profit?
We define our profit as far as we save. We save our money, not only for emergencies, but other contracts that come about. You have to save your money, because if a big contract comes about, you need to have the revenue to sustain it and to pay the employees and so forth and so on. So that's what needs to be done.
So that's a good habit, and you manage that.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Is that a rule that you have?
It's a rule of business. You have to do that, otherwise you can't function. You have to make sure that cash flow is there as a backup. If you get a big contract, of course it takes about 30 to 45 days before you see that money come in from that contract. So you have to have money to be able to upfront that until that pays.
So you're managing your own cash flow.
Yes.
Night Eye Security Service, where is it located?
It's located at 2407 East Yandell on Suite
Night
C.
Eye's Protective Services.
Yes.
2407?
East Yandell and Suite C.
Okay, and how long you been there?
You've been there for since 2003.
Okay.
For about 15 years now.
So your business has been there.
Yes.
So what would you like to share that kind of highlights the value of your business to this community?
I think we've been fortunate enough to give back to the community, to help the unfortunate, and the long relationship we've had with our clients. That's the best thing that I've had.
Yeah. How do you give back to the community?
We've given like turkeys for Thanksgiving. We've given to the unfortunate. We've given to St. Patrick's Church. My brother's a deacon there, so we've donated sandwiches, and we've donated our time for volunteering there. My mother donates sandwiches as well, for the homeless. So, we do a lot of those things.
Well, you built a business. You built a wonderful business, and you're giving back, and you're raising a family. Certainly have enjoyed hearing your story, and it's certainly I'm fortunate for hearing the story, but I trust our viewers have enjoyed your story, and I really appreciate your sharing your story.
Thank you, Mr. Galicia.
Fernando Rodriguez and Barbara Rodriguez of Night Eyes Protective Services. Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you, Mr. Galicia.
Thank you for having us.
watching, and have a good day.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.